Hello again, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to talk about something, I guess, a bit more serious, and that is the thing that puts the pressure on to resellers when they start out and think about transitioning into reselling as like their primary income source. And that is the fact that you need to rely on it as your primary income source. There's a lot with that. So I think the best way to start is to look at when someone gets a job and then they want to transition to a full-time into a business. The traditional way to go is to borrow money to buy a business and to pay it a certain multiple of their profit. So it could be 250,000 because you're paying 2.5 times the profit of the business, which is $100,000 a year. So 100,000, 50. You do that because the business that you buy, you usually can see that there's a profit that is a result of revenue that is consistent over 2 years and sometimes even longer. And you can look at the stock makeup of that business, and you can look at the suppliers that bring stock into that business and the cost of that stock. And you can more or less make a decision because you go, the stock and the supply is consistent, therefore the sales should be consistent, and therefore my profit should be consistent. Really, the profit is my thing to screw up if I go in the business and try and do more than I should. For example, I can try and overmarket the business, hire more staff than I need, and I take home less if it doesn't lead to an increase in sales. But at least you know that that what you're buying has a certain baseline. The issue that most resellers have when they start out is that they don't have a baseline. They don't have a baseline on anything, not just the running of not just the fact that the business doesn't exist yet, but the fact that they probably haven't shown the people in their network that they can actually sell something. So it's literally absolute zero baseline situation, which is why oftentimes it can feel like there's a lot of pressure to perform, because the people who love you, the people who love your family, the people who want to see you succeed will make it seem like you need to prove a lot to them. I'm going to call these people your network. So just people who care about you, people whom you care about, right? Talking like, close family, close friends, people who journey with you, who want to see you do well in life. And your network doesn't know if you're going to do well. You don't know if you're going to do well. You hope you're going to do well. And I think that's the thing. It's about turning that hope into a track record so that you can show some sort of baseline to your network that in turn, they will then reciprocate by providing support. How long that takes is very subjective. For some people, it can take many years. For some people, it can take 1 year. I'll share with you my story of how I earned Jenny's support and then how I earned the rest of my family's support. So for me, the first 6 months when I was selling on eBay, seriously, started as a bet. Essentially, Jenny was buying some toys, and I said to her, look, stop buying them brand new, I'll buy them secondhand. I bought them in a bulk lot, realized how cheap they were, and I said, hey, I'll grow I reckon I can grow his collection secondhand. I will just buy and sell. We'll keep the ones we want, we'll sell the rest. After a few months of doing that, probably 2 months of doing that, Jenny started noticing that I was buying way too quickly. He's like, wait, he's not even old enough to appreciate all of this. Why are you still buying? And I went, because there's a velocity to it and I want to keep going. And the way I got her to leave me alone was to just say to her, look, I reckon by the time our second one's born, I can replace your income. And she was earning about 55 a year at the time. And she went, yeah, sure, go for your life. As if I was kidding. At which point I started to spend, and I probably spent $2,000 in the next week. And then she had to be like, all right, hold up. You keep your $2,000, but you can't go above that. I said, okay. So we just kept cycling. I spent 30 grand in the first 6 months, but then after that, I also sold 30 grand in that same 6 months with a double garage full of stock left over. And she was like, okay, great, you're selling, but which one is it? Because you're doing two businesses at the same time. You're a finance broker and you're also selling on eBay. Which one is it? And I'm like, I don't know. We'll see. By the time our second was born, the business was doing 10K a month in sales, literally replacing her income. And then she was like, all right, it's obviously, if you replace my income, you just need to keep your other business going. But if you're going to transition, it needs to replace both. And so then it was, okay, let's keep going. But by that point, the body of work was there. It was like, all right, body of work to replace my income. Now provide more moment. Now you need to just provide for yourself and then you can quit. But really all it was it wasn't a case of I don't believe in the business anymore. It's a case of you now have you've proven that it is a business. You have my permission to now really work hard and transition fully. So how does that apply to you, dear listener, watcher, audience, reseller? I read comments daily of people who want the support of their spouse. Who want to be noticed by their network for the effort they're putting in. And I can empathize with that because I was there. The first 6 months, I pretty much lied through my teeth to Jenny, to my mother, to my father, to my sister. I called them all. I told them, I just did the whole teenager thing. You don't understand me. You don't get what is happening. Like, this is more reliable than the finance thing that I'm doing. And they all kind of just went, you know what? You're arrogant. You don't listen to anybody. Just constantly being told that I was wrong, right? They have since changed their mind, and we're all on the same page now. But that period was very much a case of actively choosing to ignore them and just bulldoze my way to kind of get to a point where the body of work was reliable enough. So one way to go about it actually is to provide access to that body of work to your significant other, to your network, so that they can see what you're doing, warts and all. Not just the highlight reel, because if you're not fully transparent, they're not going to come on board. Because if you're going to the thrift store and you're going to flea markets and you're buying all this stuff and it's just at home, and when someone looks at your stuff, they go, I don't even know what to look at. I don't know what I'm looking at. It's random. And then if you tell them where you buy your stuff from and you can't assure them that you can get the stuff in again, they're not gonna believe you, because you're telling them this is random and I'm making money that is consistent on random shit. Nobody places their trust in randomness. So what you need to do is to give them your concept of how you work through this randomness. You need to be able to show them, this pair of jeans I can pick up at the flea market from different vendors, but I can always pick up once a week. It's consistent to 1 unit a week. This dresser I can always find in this suburb because it's just the people are rich there. They seem to want to get rid of them at this price point. I've picked up 2 in the last week, and the week before I picked up 1. So at minimum, I'll pick up 1. Help them to digest how you see the randomness as consistent and how that links to consistent sales. If you cannot articulate that concept, you cannot expect them to come on board and support you, and they need to support you. That's a fact. Like, if I'm working 60 hours a week, Jenny needs to do more with the kids. If I'm driving around town picking up stock to try and figure out what niche I want to get into, Jenny has to pick up the kids from school and childcare a couple of days that she normally doesn't. My mum has to look after the kids on a weekend if I want to go source, all over, from the west of Melbourne all the way to the north, down back to where I am. So to garner their support, you need to help them to understand, or at least conceptualize and put in some sort of structure how what you're doing makes sense. But until you are able to do that, I would encourage you not to start the clock on your journey, because that's just putting pressure on yourself that may cave you. Start creating that body of work. Have patience, and trust that as you build that body of work and you start to let your network in to see what you're doing, that they will also appreciate the effort and appreciate the end goal of where you're trying to head. It's not the easiest thing, this transition. It's quite a bumpy one for most of us who already have jobs, have kids, and you're trying to make something out of like 3 hours a day for 5 days a week, and then maybe sacrifice social things on the weekend just to make that leap. I get it. And I'm with you. I'm here to support you through that. So keep grinding. Let your network in so that they can be part of that journey too, and hopefully support you as you transition. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.